Bienvenidos nuevamente a Visiones del Desarrollo desde Sevilla. Estamos teniendo una serie de conversaciones específicamente con ministros de varias regiones dentro del marco de la Conferencia de Naciones Unidas para el financiamiento del desarrollo y, por supuesto, aquí en casa con la CAF y con los varios ministros que han estado formando parte, ya sea del directorio o de otras conversaciones. En este momento vamos a cambiar el idioma y vamos a llevar a cabo la conversación en inglés porque nos acompaña la ministra Ketleen Florestal, ministra de Planeación y Cooperación Externa o Exterior. Minister, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon rather. I am curious about, as you step into the framework of the conference, the UN conference, and these conversations hosted by CAF, what would you say are your principal goals for this week for Haiti?
I would say first, I should say that I am very glad to be here and thank you for inviting me to speak because I think Haiti needs to have a louder voice to let everyone know what exactly is going on. I think there's a lot of news about Haiti, but not sufficient information. As everybody knows, we are living a very difficult time, mostly due to international crime that has gotten into our country in the form of armed gangs. But the negative aspect is everybody seems to know part of the story. The other part of the story I think everybody needs to know is that it affects mostly directly two departments and part of one, which is the center where the capital is, Department of the West, the Department of Artibonite, which is slightly north of the capital, and the Department of the Center, part of it. The whole rest of the country is peaceful, and people walk at night, no security, go to the restaurant, including me. And it's unfortunate that people have a vision that the whole country is a no-go because there's a lot of work that could be done while we are addressing the security issue in the centers where they are at their highest. We should be able to work, particularly with the international community, in preparing growth because we have been contracting for the past 6 years, not due to the violence, due to a lot of other factors. But we are, as a government, making our best effort besides investing in security, in the police force, in the army. We are investing in the rest of the country and also taking action to prepare recovery. And while we do that, we would like to attract the attention of everyone that there is a whole rest of the country to work on. That's about 40% of the population. And a lot of potential in terms of agriculture, in terms of industrial production. We are trying to increase the companies that are operating because we lost some of them in the north of the country in our free zone. We are also, a lot of companies have left the capital and has gone to the north. And a lot of people are being repatriated. They left after selling everything. So they need to come back to a job, to something. Some of them have acquired skills. We need to use them. And they put a pressure on the social services at the border until they can go back home. And even if they do, they sold most of them everything they had so they could go abroad. So
there's an increase now in that population.
There is an increase in the people going back. They are
in part because of the U.S. policies on.
First, because of the Dominican Republic.
And first, okay.
Where at the border, they had set themselves a quota. Remember, 10,000 or so per week, and tens and thousands have been returned with nothing, not their savings, nothing, and often in a very difficult situation in terms of health and body aspect. So we welcome them the way we can, but we are trying to put programs so that first we can use the skills that they have or they have acquired or enhance them, or at least have a way to welcome them back. The influx from the US hasn't started, but for months now, we've had an influx of people being forcibly returned from the Dominican Republic. Beyond that, as you know, the economy, the remittances are much higher than external assistance for years. So with the people who are being repatriated, the people who will be repatriated in the next 2 months or more, it will definitely cause a shock on the system, not just in the exchange rate, but somebody who's working outside the country often supports many families. They pay for the schools, they pay for the housing of their families. So we have to confront all that. But beyond all the extra stress we're getting, we need to remind people that there is a whole rest of the country to invest in agriculture, invest in the youth to have skills, because before a lot of the professional schools and universities were concentrated in Port-au-Prince. They are not accessible, a lot of them now. Our main hospitals are in regions that are occupied by gangs. And we took a shock also because some of the health centers were financed by USAID. So we need to address all this, and it can be done without going through Port-au-Prince if people are scared to work. The international community needs to work with us, not just in the public sector, but also help the private sector, who have been taking a big hit. They have been decapitalized. A lot of the peasants have lost their crops because they no longer could sell them. They could make, we lost some export markets, right. And some peasants have also had to find ways to survive because they can't get their products to the capital. So we need help so that we can do intra-trade in the zones that are not under the hold of the gangs. Also in the region with our Caribbean brothers, we've had the first international flight in the north sometime a few weeks ago, and almost 90% of the traffic now comes out of the Cap Haitien. Mm-hmm. And there is no reason why we can't work ourselves and the rest of the international community, and hopefully have fund investments, particularly funding for the private sector, so that we work while we are combating insecurity in the center, in the capital, and in the Artibonite region, so that we work in the other regions. There's no reason why we can't.
What would you say are critical areas of opportunity that circumvent those security concerns? There have been...
Excuse me, what are the opportunities?
You said, what are areas or instruments of opportunity for financing that circumvent, that go around those security concerns, where people can develop more confidence in investing? What are those sectors that could have more potential?
For example, we opened a port in the south, mm-hmm. and it has already started receiving boats. We need, we also invited, after the visit of the President of Colombia, and at the occasion of the visit, we have put together a plan to invite travel agencies to do a road through the South. There are many wonderful sites in the South, historical beach sites that are untapped. There are some investment that to be done in hotel infrastructure, road infrastructure, but some of them are attainable today. As you know, in the North, there is the Royal Caribbean, I think the cruises that used to come, but they don't come inside Haiti.
Yeah.
All that region, there are wonderful beaches.
Gorgeous beaches. I yes. have been to that region, and it's
there are others.
Stunning.
There are others. And in the south, there are magnificent small islands. So there is no reason. Even international, it only takes small planes right now. If we could develop more than one international airport, have more than one port front in the south, it will open up so much. And
I'm curious about one of the themes of the conference, and one of the conversations was titled, that happened yesterday, "Without security, there is no development." I wonder, what role could multilateral organizations or development banks like CAF could have in strengthening security, in helping Haiti combat that insecurity?
I think in terms of fighting the gangs, we need help from military. We need military resources. We need more human capital, like police forces that are trained. But, you know, we got to this situation because a lot of the youth were neglected. You have young court soldiers. You have to give the youth a means to survive later, give them hope, give them education, give them a source of income so that the first employer isn't the gangs.
Right.
So that's what they can do now.
Minister, thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but it is so enlightening to hear.
Everybody's going to.
And I understand that the next event is about to start. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Gracias a todos por acompañarnos en Visiones del Desarrollo. En esta ocasión, hablando con la Ministra de Planificación y Cooperación Externa de Haití. Muchísimas gracias. Continuaremos con nuestra programación.